Building an NFL dynasty is an exercise in extreme scarcity. Every dollar of cap space you spend and every draft pick you trade shatters the potential for other moves, forcing managers into high-stakes, binary choices. To find which choices yield the highest return, we are using the 2026 NFL simulated season as our testing ground. Looking at the data, every roster build follows one of two paths: investing in systemic continuity or paying a premium for high-variance aggression. Choosing the wrong path results in more than a single loss season. A bad bet on aging talent or a mismatched coaching staff locks up your capital and triggers a multi-year rebuild. Success in a simulation depends on navigating the specific mathematical trade-offs of where your capital is deployed. Evaluating these front office moves objectively requires a framework that tracks inputs, outcomes, and trade-offs. The Win Now Veteran strategy uses a specific input, leveraging future cap space to acquire aging, established talent. This creates an immediate spike in talent, but the trade-off is a narrowing championship window that demands perfection with zero margin for error. We plot these moves on a matrix measuring resource cost against win floor stability. The top right dynasty zone represents peak ROI, requiring patience. The bottom right cap hell zone is crowded with teams that chased immediate gratification. Our goal today is to decode the highest ROI strategies within the 2026 data so you know exactly where to deploy your capital. This comparison matrix highlights the risks of the Frankenstein architecture model, buying a culture through legacy superstars and big-name coaches. The 2026 Steelers and Chiefs are primary case studies for this bias. They pair aging quarterbacks and old guard coaches to buy immediate relevance. The outcome is that these teams inherit the historical flaws of those individuals, alongside their declining physical attributes. This results in a trade-off where a team sacrifices a cultural reset for an 8 or 9 win ceiling and organizational stagnation. A variation of this high-variance strategy is the superstaff model, seen in the 2026 Titans and Giants. The input here is hiring multiple former head coaches to serve as hyper-coordinators. The outcome is often friction between clashing philosophies during implementation, which can sacrifice an entire season to transitional growing pains. Attempting to bypass organic development by assembling aging saviors consistently results in a low win floor and a high risk of ruin across the 2026 data. In contrast, the system-first architecture seen in the 2026 Lions and Chargers is locked into a different foundation. The input for this strategy is trench continuity, reinvesting maximum capital exclusively into offensive line retention and scheme familiarity. This yields a high-functioning offense that can achieve 11 wins without requiring elite play from the skill positions. The trade-off for this trench-heavy spending is a reliance on cheaper, unproven rookies on the perimeter, which limits explosive home run plays. When trench continuity is paired with a specific coaching culture, it creates an elite ecosystem, as seen with the 49ers and Texans. This input involves establishing a defensive-minded culture with high-end pass rushers and a plug-and-play offensive system. The outcome is the highest baseline in the 2026 simulation, 12 to 13 wins, which elevates average players into statistical superstars. The trade-off for an elite ecosystem is the constant loss of talented assistant coaches to other teams, requiring a continuous internal development pipeline. Schematic stability and trench dominance consistently outperform aggressive veteran acquisitions in the long-term simulation. Applying these 2026 findings to your own roster requires an honest look at your current assets. This checklist provides a diagnostic tool to determine your path forward based on O-line dominance, your defensive core, and overall cap health. For managers starting from scratch or inheriting a broken roster, the system-first approach is the only viable path. This requires dedicating your first 3 off-seasons strictly to the offensive and defensive lines, passing on flashy quarterbacks and receivers. This input builds a foundation that leads to sustainable 10-win seasons by your 3rd year. The trade-off is psychological. You must accept boring off-seasons and initial losses to secure a championship window later. There is one strict exception where a high-variance veteran push is justified by the numbers. This aggressive push is only viable for managers who have already secured an elite offensive line and a top 5 defense. Only when a team is complete, like the Rams adding an elite defender, does the ROI of a massive veteran contract make sense. Do not chase the names on the back of the jersey to cover up systemic flaws. In the economics of franchise building, the highest ROI is found in the trenches and the playbook, not in egos or splashy acquisitions.